mysterious person behind the screen. Cast your minds all the way back to last year. I reviewed Stranger Things, and if you remember, I enjoyed it a little bit.
It's so good! It's freaking amazing!
Yes, if you want to hear my full thoughts on Stranger Things 1, then click the link in... Oh wait, they removed annotations, didn't they? Just go find it on my channel, it'll be somewhere. Probably create a playlist now with 1 and 2 reviews. Anyway, I'll just put Dustin, put him down there, you can't see him, but he's down there. So naturally, when Stranger Things 2 dropped on Netflix, I couldn't wait to get stuck into some more 80s action, and I wasn't disappointed. This show is phenomenal. It is sheer perfection. I adored nearly everything about this season. Stranger Things 2, I possibly even prefer it to Stranger Things 1. It is absolutely phenomenal television. If any of you haven't watched Stranger Things 1, go watch it now, because that is phenomenal as well. Then prepare yourself for a real treat, because Stranger Things 2 is absolutely glorious. For starters, I really like the actual plot they took dealing with the events, and how the events of Stranger Things 1 impacted the people of Hawkins. And this was a really great opportunity to actually see character growth, because these characters have progressed quite heavily from the first season, and it is great to see. Obviously the kids are quite a bit old. I didn't think I would notice a difference in them, but they've got quite a bit older. Particularly Lucas, he looks a lot older. But you know, it's natural that happens, and a lot of the characters of particularly Nancy, she has grown. You can compare the start of season 1 to the start of season 2, and then the end of season 2. The growth on her character is absolutely phenomenal. It is, because these experiences, what she goes through, changes her exponentially. Losing Barb in season 1, and then going to season 2, having helped defeat the Demogorgon last time, knowing of this alternate dimension, and having all that stuff happen to her. It's undeniably, it would haunt her a bit, and a lot of this season her arc was about dealing with that, and her relationship with Steve and Jonathan, which gets challenged. And her character is something that I really appreciate about this show, and it highlights what the writers have done to every character in this season, and it has used the experiences of last time to change and evolve them naturally. And I think that's the biggest word for the season, is natural. This is the perfect continuation of season 1. There is nothing that I would have done differently, if I'm honest, apart from episode 7. Now I'll get on to that later, because that's another thing. But it is the perfect natural continuation of season 1. It is as I said, the characters have evolved and grown. The threats are bigger. It uses what you've learned in season 1 and how you've established these characters and how you've grown to love these characters through the course of that season, and just takes that to a whole new level. Will is no longer just a MacGuffin. He is now a living, breathing part of the show, and it's all the better for it. Because that was my biggest worry going into season 2. Will I have this connection to Will? Because he spent the most of season 1 off screen. That was not an issue at all. Noah Schnapp did a absolutely fantastic job. Just, if Millie Bobby Brown was the standout of season 1 in terms of the child actors, then Noah Schnapp is the standout of season 2. He is absolutely fantastic here, and he has to do some pretty heavy stuff, to be fair. So props to him, because what he has to do here isn't easy to do, and especially at his young age, it's quite a challenge, and he pulled it off. This is one of the best performances from a child I've ever seen, and as that goes for the whole child cast, Millie Bobby Brown brings it again as 11, or Jane, because we find out her true parentage, which was a really cool angle to take for the show, I think. But you know, all of those kids just take up their performances to a new level. Obviously, they are older, as mentioned before. And I feel like having that, because they were all unknowns before Stranger Things 1. Now most people know them. They've been sort of projected into the spotlight, and they've used what they've learned from the first one to definitely apply that to season 2, because it's that, you know, their performances have definitely evolved and have got better. And obviously the best member of the group is Dustin, because he's hilarious. And yeah, what's his name, Gaten Matarazzo, I think he's really upped his game here. But obviously there's one new member of the group, which is Max, played by Sadie Sink. And you know, it started off, I thought, I'm not going to like her because I've got my pre-established group. I've got the 4 kids, plus 11, but she wasn't around at the start of the season. But I've got my group. It's like in a TV show when they introduce a new character, like 5 seasons in, and you're like, no, I've got my core group. I don't want like someone else coming in and ruining it. These are my guys. And I did sort of feel like that for a few episodes, but once I think she really starts to settle in, and she finds out about what happened in 1983. By the end, I was fully happy that she was a member of the group, and yeah, we've we got a new member of the group, which I was happy about, because yeah, she was great by the end. And we understand why she was a bit of a jerk, and this is something I'm glad they touched on, because it's 1984. It's not the most racially diverse time. It's still pretty, racist and homophobic and stuff, and Lucas is one of like a few black characters that we see on the show. We got the cop, which I can't even remember his name, and Lucas, of course. And it's like, well, yeah, it's not nice, but he would sort of be discriminated against. So I'm glad they did sort of touch on that with what's his face, Billy. And at that point, when Billy gets Lucas, just because he's done nothing wrong, just because Max is hanging around with him, he gets him and he pins him up against the wall, and it's like, God, I hope you get eaten, man, because you are an absolute dickhead. But he gets his comeuppance. He gets a tranquilizer in the neck, which was cool. And it was nice to see Max to get some time in the spotlight, because to finally get to see her stand up to her brother, because he deserves it, because he was an absolute arsehole. And for a minute, I really thought he was going to kill Steve, because he had him right against the floor. It was just hitting him so hard, and I thought, God, are they actually going to kill off Steve? And I got that feeling a lot of the times during the last 2 episodes, because there were points where the screen would sort of like cut to black, and then fade back in again, which I sort of think was pretty overused. But it like, for a while I thought, is that it? Are they going to end it on a cliffhanger? Oh no, it's fine. But there were points where I thought, no, is this character going to die? The biggest one was when Dustin and Steve are in the hole, which is like almost another portal to the Upside Down underneath the pumpkin patch, and they're stuck there. The Demon Dogs are coming, and obviously Mike and Max and Lucas are up there. They've already got up there. They're safe. And they're saying, "Come on, get up!" And Dustin braces himself because they were coming. Then it goes slow motion, and Mike's face just shocked, and I genuinely thought, oh my God, have they killed off either of these 2 characters? And they hadn't. It was a bit of a fake out, but that sign of good writing right there, because I was on the edge of my seat, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole the whole season. It was so good. And as well with Joyce, when when he was possessed and he had her by the throat, and I was like, are they gonna kill off Joyce? And when Hopper was stuck down the thing, are they gonna kill off Hopper? There were so many points where I thought, oh my god, they're gonna kill off this character, and they killed Bob, and like, because Bob was another person I wasn't sure about. I really like. I thought, something's up with him. He's not. I don't fully trust him. But then my fears were proven wrong, because when he died, pretty rough. It was pretty sad when he died, because I grew to like him. I grew to really, really like him by that point. And it was just like, oh, that sucks. But again, it's definitely great that the sign of the good writing that I really was sure that he was untrustworthy. Same with and then I grew to care about him at the end, and it's the same with the Doctor. I've forgotten his name now, but the guy who survives at the end and says, "Congratulations, you're a father now," to Hopper. Legally classifies 11 as his daughter. That guy, the Doctor. The whole season, I thought he was bad. I thought he was the main villain. I thought he was the Matthew Modine of this season. I thought he was the Brenner. And he was really good the whole time. He was properly protective. It was such a cool fake out. And Hopper as well. Hopper really took a spotlight this season, because he's a father to 11. And that was one of the biggest interesting things about his character in season 1, was his daughter Sarah, and what happened to that. And the resolution was pretty heartbreaking at the end when we saw her die in the flashbacks. And he's now being a father to 11, and she's rejecting him, and he's clearly just trying to help. And it comes across almost desperate from Hopper that he wants this to work. Like when he calls, because 11's gone by this point, when he calls on the Morse code communicator thing, he says, "Just I want you to be safe." Like he's only doing this to protect her, and 11 was pretty. I didn't really. A lot of the stuff she did this season was sort of like, that's a bit of a dick move, because he's only, every time someone tries to help her, she just walks away. Therein lies my biggest problem with the whole season, was episode 7, because it was an episode entirely focused on 11. I get it, Millie Bobby Brown, she's great. It's cool to have an episode all about her when none of the cast appear, apart from in sort of like flashbacks and stuff. But it got to the point where I didn't feel like I was watching Strange Things. It felt like filler. And I know why it was there. It was to expand 11's character and give us some backstory and introduce us to this cool gang of criminals and stuff. But it got to the point where the only thing that kept me in that world was the soundtrack. And I don't think it would have been a problem if episode 6 hadn't ended on a cliffhanger, and episode 7 wasn't just before the big, like, sort of final 2 episodes. Because as a result of that, I was just sort of thinking, right, can we hurry this up, please? I want to get back to the lab, see what Hopper's doing, see what Will's doing, because he's possessed, and Joyce and stuff. And I want to see those characters. I don't really care about this new group of criminals that we've only just been introduced to. As I said, I think I said in my review of the first season last year that we got 9 episodes. I sort of said, well, I hope they feel like that extra episode is deserved, because they need that to tell their story. And ultimately, I don't think it was, because they didn't. They could have cut that down. They could have extended like episode 6 or the beginning of episode 7 or something. To just an extra 10 minutes, you could have cut that down. I don't think you really needed a side story of 11 going off to get what's his face, the guy who was torturing her mother. It almost felt like a video game with DLC. It's like The Last of Us, for example. The Last of Us, you have that bit where Ellie and Joel is brutally injured, then it cuts to the next season of the game, and Ellie and Joel are sort of self-sufficient. Ellie's looking after Joel, and that leads on to the whole winter season. But you have the DLC Left Behind, which explores. One, it's sort of half prequel, half side story. It explores what she was doing during that time. It almost felt like with Stranger Things, Episode 7 was almost like a video game DLC side story of what she was doing during the gap. And I think in future rewatches I will skip it, if not sort of watch it forward through the bits that are a bit, pointless. But yeah, that's like the one flaw I have with the season, because it's so good, man. And it ended perfect. Pitch perfect. The final 15 minutes of this episode, of the final episode, were the best way to end the season possible. You've got everything going back to normal. You've got a really goddamn exciting climax with characters that I care deeply about and I want to see succeed. And it's such a heart-stopping climax because everything's shit is hitting the fan, and then finally everything goes back to normal, and the kids are going to the snowball. Perfect sort of. That's what I mean. Perfect continuation of season 1. Snowball was set up in season 1, because Mike could ask 11 to go with him, and finally get to do that at the end of season 2, and it was such a sort of punch in the air moment, and Dustin with his hair styled like Steve, that was funny. Their friendship, I didn't expect Dustin and Steve's friendship to actually be one of the highlights of the season, but they were pretty awesome together, pretty funny. And Dustin's that every time that happened, it just cracked me up, man. So good. But it was almost like at the end when he was sat on the step crying because no one would dance with him. It was sort of like, that's pretty rough. And then Nancy goes over again. Perfect continuation of season 1, because there was sort of an underlying thing in that first episode that Dustin sort of had a thing for Nancy. It was a really brief moment in the first episode, but it was a thing, and it sort of continued here, and him and Nancy share a dance at the dance, and the song is playing, brilliant 80s vibes, and she said, "Yeah, of all of my brother's friends, you're my favourite," which was really nice, and it was a nice sort of cool thing between those two. Because no one wants to see Dustin sad, do you? He's sitting on the step crying. That's a release, so you don't want to see that. So I'm glad Nancy came over and just, helped them out there, because, it was a cool thing. Another reason I love Nancy's character, because, she did that, so that was cool. And as all the kids sort of get picked off, one by one, to go to the dance floor, we get Max, because it was sort of like, who will she go for throughout the season? And she eventually chose Lucas, and they share a kiss at the end, and it's like, yeah, that was cool. And then Dustin's a bit sort of, peeved off by that. Bit sort of disheartened. Goes and asks a girl. She's a bit of a bitch to him. Goes to ask another one. Another bit of a bitch. So he goes off crying. Nancy gets with him. Cool. She doesn't get with him. She goes and has a dance with him. But and then Will, this random girl comes up and says, "Hey, zombie boy, want to dance?" And he does. So that's cool. And then Mike gets 11, which was, a perfect continuation of season. I'm saying there's a lot of perfect continuation of season 1, because it was. All these ideas are set up. Because I said at the time, you can watch Stranger Things 1, and I still maintain that now. You can watch that as its own thing. You don't have to watch season 2. You can watch it as its own self-contained thing with hints at the future. Brilliant. That's an absolute masterpiece. And I feel like 1 and 2 really link together really well. And now I think you can watch 1 and 2 without having to, because there's 4 seasons. They plan in 4 seasons. With you can just watch 1 and 2. All the storylines are wrapped up. Barely anything is left hanging. And at the end, right at the end, when the music's still playing, every breath you take, when that's still playing, get a tease at the end with the upside down still there. The big tentacled shadow monster is still around, and tease for Stranger Things 3. But at the same time, you could watch Stranger Things 1 and Stranger Things 2 together, and you could end it there, which would be fine. But, we're getting a 3rd one, which is cool, and we're getting a 4th one, which is cool. I hope they know when to end it right, because the last thing I want is for this absolute masterpiece of a show, and it is an absolutely amazing show. It's easily my favourite show that's running at the moment, aside from Doctor Who, of course, because Doctor Who will always be my favourite. But it's an amazing show, and I would hate for that to be tarnished by a crappy fourth season or a crappy third season. But I feel like even if that is the case, even if 3 and 4 sort of subpar, we have 1 and 2 that are absolute masterpieces. And I was really worried going into 2 that it wouldn't be able to live up to 1, and it totally did. You know, as I say, Doctor Who will always be my favourite show, but Strange Things is my favourite show that's sort of... You say it's my second favourite show that's running at the moment. Maybe not my second favourite show of all time, but the one that's currently on, it's my favourite apart from Doctor Who, because Doctor Who is always king, and yeah, Doctor Who, my whole channel's based around Doctor Who. But yeah, Strange Things isn't just... It's really raises the bar for TV, and I need a Blu-ray release. I want that shit to be put on Blu-ray, because it's so good. Yeah, just everything about it, man. I'm lost for words. Absolute masterpiece of a show. If you've not seen Strange Things 1 or Strange Things 2, go watch them, because they're bloody brilliant. I love them. Absolutely love them. I will be revisiting them many times in the future. So yeah, have you seen Strange Things 2? What did you think of it? If you liked it, if you didn't, please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care now.